Welcome to Action Island, presented by FanDuel. I'm Maria Marino. So excited to be here in studio with our analysts, Nick Giffen, Gilles Gallant, and Sean Kerner. We'll be taking their expert picks, building a same-game parlay for each of the two games on today's wild card slate. So Steelers at Bills and Eagles at Bucs. Action Island is presented by FanDuel. Bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. For new users in Arizona, Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, and Wyoming. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. So again, we will work our way around the island for not one, but both games tonight. Each of the guys will give out their best bets. The Island Council will then vote on all of our favorite picks to use in the same game parlays. We're going to start with the first game schedule. That's the 7th seeded Steelers visiting the number 2 seed, the Bills, at 4:30 Eastern, originally scheduled for Sunday. But I'm happy we get another game to talk about today. Nick Giffen, you're up first. Why don't you give us your two best bets?
Well, you guys know me. I'm all about the luck rankings. So we're going to roll with the luck rankings here. And we're going to take the Bills minus 10. I know it seems like kind of a large number there, but I really like this Bills team. They have been the 25th most unlucky team in the NFL, and the Steelers are the luckiest team in the NFL. So that luck difference of 24 puts that in luck matchup territory. Luck matchups are 116, 66, and 6. That's 63% against the spread for the unlucky team when it meets that criteria there. My model has this as the Bills at 10.5, and especially now that we've moved the day of the game, there's no more weather issues that we really need to worry about. I'm fine with a 10 because my model has a little more than 10.5. Like I said, Pittsburgh has been incredibly lucky this year. They've had a lot of long touchdowns, which are a little fluky. Even for their explosive play rate, it's actually, they've had more touchdowns than expected. So the Bills, a lot of turnover issues, but if Josh Allen keeps it clean, they will cover the 10 points. And then for my second pick, I really wish we could have gone with Najee Harris under receptions, but I'm going to have to pivot to receiving yards. So we're going to take Najee Harris under 7.5 receiving yards. But if you want to wait till closer to game time and see if under 1.5 receptions pops up, I'd like that better, but we'll still take the under 7.5 receiving yards. The Steelers have been using Najee Harris mainly as a running back, right? Like Jaylen Warren is getting the pass work as the running back there. So Najee Harris just hasn't been on the field much for passing downs, especially in recent weeks. They've really well-defined those roles for their two backs. Buffalo also, they're 17th in defensive DVOA versus the run, but they're 9th versus the pass. So they should run more. Pittsburgh should run more just because that's going to be the more efficient way to move the ball on this Bills team. And if the wind pops up, it seems like everything's going to be fine. But if it does get a little gusty, there could be a couple extra moments where you may have to run a few extra plays instead of pass. So I'm going to take Najee Harris under 7.5 receiving yards. But like I said, I would love the under 1.5 receptions if we can get that.
All right, there we have it. The first two picks are in for Nick, and they are Bills minus 10 and Najee Harris under 7.5 receiving yards. Are we ready to vote?
Absolutely. Yes.
All right, cool. Let's do it. Once again, you see Bills minus 10, Najee Harris under 7.5. What are you going to do, guys? And let's reveal.
Can you see it?
Can we see? All right, I think that's a sweep. We all like Najee. I'm just going to say I'm a scaredy cat, so the minus 10, even though your explanation was lovely, is just a little scary for me. But Najee Harris is going to be the first leg of our same game parlay. Gilles Gallant, you are next. What are you picking for Steelers-Bills?
For sure. So my first pick, I'm going to go with Jaylen Warren over 19.5 receiving yards. So he has cleared this, Maria, in 4 of the last 5 games. And he has the 3rd most targets amongst all NFL running backs this season, averaging about 21 receiving yards per game. Now, I know, Nick, that the weather obviously is still, I still think it'll play a little bit of a factor in this game, so short throws I think are going to be essential. And also the trailing game script potential of the Steelers having to play catch-up. Jaylen Warren is the pass-catching back in this offense, so I think this correlates well with the Najee Harris prop. But also, I'm going to take Josh Allen under 38.5 rushing yards. Again, the Steelers, they allowed the 3rd fewest rush attempts to quarterbacks, the 9th fewest yards, allowing about 17 rush yards per game on average to quarterbacks. Josh Allen for the season, again, been really picking it up his efforts with his legs, but he has gone under this number in 12 of 17 games this season. And to be honest, I'll say it, it's a bit of a contrarian troll pick. I mean, because everybody's going to be on Josh Allen. The narrative of playoff Josh Allen and the rushing yards is always something that's going to be brought up, which is why I think this rushing yard number is a little bit higher than what it needs to be. So I think Allen is going to try to limit himself and maybe use his legs more at the goal line and try to score a touchdown, which is why you're seeing his touchdown odds around -125. So I think Jaylen Warren over 19.5 receiving yards and Josh Allen under 38.5 rush yards are the two options for the second leg of this parlay.
All right, it's time to do another vote. Let's get another recap going while we make our final selections. Once again, Warren over 19.5 receiving yards, Josh Allen under 38.5 rush yards. Ready, guys? Let's do it. All right, we have another sweep. It's Warren once again, and all I'm gonna say is I was again a little scared off by the Josh Allen under. I know T.J. Watt's out for Pittsburgh, so I'm not 100% sure how that's gonna affect things, but all good. We are all on the same page. So, Sean Kerner, you're up, my friend. What are your best bets for this game?
So my first one is Dawson Knox under 13.5 receiving yards. This is the 3rd time I've given out this play this week, and every time it's been a yard lower. I still like it at 13.5. But weeks 1 through 7, when he was the starting tight end for the Bills, they were a pass-heavy offense. He only cleared this in 3 of 7 games. Mm-hmm. Then he injured his wrist. He was out for 5 games. He came back where he lost his job to Dalton Kincaid. The offense has been extreme run-heavy under new offensive coordinator Joe Brady. It just so happens he has cleared this in 3 of the last 5 games, but he's been a bit lucky. He's caught 7 of his 8 targets, so an 88% catch rate. Typically, we would expect him to be around 70%, so he's due for some regression in that department. I'm projecting him closer to 10.5 receiving yards, so I still like the under 13.5. And for my other pick, George Pickens, under 3.5 receptions. Mason Rudolph's completion prop is just 16.5 right now, which is, I'm in line with that, which means there's not many receptions to go around. I agree with Jill. I think Jaylen Warren's going to take up, a lot of those receptions. Whereas, George Pickens, he's the main downfield threat, where he's going to see the lower percentage downfield bombs. I would never fade him in the receiving yard market, but I think when it comes to receptions, there's some value here. One thing is, this game, the weather's going to be a little bit better since they waited a day, so that's not going to be a factor. But cornerback Rasul Douglas for the Bills, he's questionable with a knee injury. He has an extra day now to get better, so he's more likely to be active here. He's one of the best cornerbacks in the league, so I think he's potentially going to be active here, and he's going to help slow down George Pickens. So I'm projecting this closer to 3 receptions with about a 64% chance he stays under 3.5.
Beauty.
Sounds good. So once again, let's do a little recap of Sean Kerner's best bets. So we got Dawson Knox under 13.5 receiving yards, George Pickens under 3.5 receptions. All right, guys, let's get ready to vote. All right. Here we go. Show them. Do we have another
sweep?
No. Oh, wait, no.
No,
I'm the
sticking
odd
with Knox.
person out. I
You're the
went
dissenter.
Knox, and this was very simple for me. It was just a little bit more value on Knox at around -110, so that's really the only differentiator, but there we go. Pickens is our third leg of our parlay. So let's recap the same game parlay that we have just cooked up by the Action Island crew. We have Najee Harris under 7.5 receiving yards, Jalen Warren over 19.5 receiving yards, and both of those kind of play into each other, which is great. And then George Pickens under 3.5 receptions, and this would create odds of about plus 429. Not bad, guys.
That's
good
a
start.
full Steelers
That's
reception
the same
parlay.
It's the same team parlay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Same
There you go.
team on the same facet of the game
Yes.
parlay.
Same stat parlay.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, a reminder, you may decide you want to make the parlay your own. You know, if there is a leg that we didn't vote for, but somebody else on the show, you know, threw out there, feel free to go for it. But we have another game, like I said, to discuss. Doubleheader tonight. So we got Eagles at Buccaneers as well. This is a 4-seed, 5-seed matchup at 8:15 Eastern. One down, one to go. Nick Giffen, you are up again.
All right, well, I'm going back to the well. We got to go with the luck rankings. And in this case, we're going to go under 43.5 because this game is a luck under for the playoffs with a luck total close to -4. It's like -3.8, but that's close enough for the playoffs. Luck unders in the playoffs right now are 2-1 to the under, 67% to the under. And overall, they're 60% to the under in a more than 200 game sample size over the last 6 years. So that's a pretty significant stat there, I would say. Also, we get Carl Cheffers as the referee. And
Ref
he
stats.
is
Love it.
the second most profitable ref to the under among all the current NFL officials. And just both these offenses are just kind of broken right now.
It's
you know,
choppy.
Baker's banged up. Hurts is hurting, and no A.J. Brown. So, I mean, there's a lot of reasons to fade these offenses. They've been struggling. Both their quarterbacks are injured.
Yep.
So I love the under 43.5 this one. For my second pick, though, we're going to get a little crazy. We are going to go with some scoring. We're going to take Trey Palmer anytime touchdown.
Hey.
You can get that at plus 550 at FanDuel. Trey Palmer, he's going to go off today because he tweeted that he's pissed off.
I was going to say what you have in the rundown.
He tweeted that he's pissed off, and every time he's tweeted that he is pissed off, he has scored a touchdown. So
Wow.
a little
I
narrative
love this.
streak,
I
but
love
also,
this.
this Eagles defense right now is struggling hard. They are bad. They have allowed over 30 points to the Arizona Cardinals. They allowed a bunch of points to the New York Giants. We're not exactly talking elite offenses here that are racking up points on the Eagles. And Trey Palmer plays in the slot close to 60% of the time. He would be lined up against nickelback Avante Maddox. Maddox has allowed 2.2 yards per route run, 84% catch rate. I think Palmer is going to have a little nickelback look at this photograph moment in the end zone. Oh my God. So that's my second pick for this game.
Sounds like a plan. All right, let's recap. Once again, Nick is taking the under 43.5. It is a luck under. Make sure you check out our Action Network luck rankings. And also, Trey Palmer, anytime touchdown. And I was seeing odds at about plus 550 for that in particular. Let's do our vote. All right, guys, get ready to show. Ready, go. All right, so
Does he look pissed off or grumpy there?
a little more grumpy.
Sean drew
Yeah.
like the
Grumpy
most
cat
pathetic
there.
Yeah,
frowny
how do you
face
draw
of all
pissed
time.
off?
Yeah,
But I tried.
like
Eyebrows.
So
You need
just
eyebrows.
FYI, I went with the under, so I went away from the grain with these two. But it's just mainly because I agree with the game script.
I was gonna say, was it the Nickelback?
You know, that was, I mean, it didn't hurt. It didn't hurt your argument.
There we go.
Gilles Gallant, your turn.
Yeah,
Best bets?
I'm gonna go right to a touchdown as well, but I'm going to be taking Dallas Goedert for an anytime touchdown with the Eagles. Now, the Bucs, they allowed the most targets, catches, and yards to tight ends this season to go with 7 touchdowns as well. Nick alluded to as well, no A.J. Brown. Devontae Smith could also be limited. I mean, going into Week 18, he was walking in crutches, so I can't imagine he's going to be at 100%. And also, there's going to be some rainy conditions. Short passing could also be a key in this matchup. And Goddard, I mean, 27 targets over his last 4 games. Well, if you throw away Week 18, because I feel like the whole offense just kind of went off a cliff in that game, he's still very involved in this offense, and he's got at least 1 red zone target in 4 of the last 5 games. So Dallas Goedert for an anytime touchdown would be the first option. Then I'm going to go to the other tight end on the Bucs, and I'm going to be taking Cade Otton, but over 23.5 receiving yards. Now, as I just alluded to, the matchup favors the short passing and over the middle. And the Eagles' defense, just from a secondary standpoint, 29th in DVOA versus the pass, 31st in DVOA to the short pass, and 28th in DVOA versus the tight end. This lines up all for Cade Otton to have a very good game today. And again, everyone, including the Eagles, is going to be looking at Mike Evans. And I was almost going to give out his touchdown as well, around plus 480, but I like the yardage prop a little bit more at 23.5. So Cade Otton over 23.5 receiving yards, and Dallas Goedert anytime touchdown are the 2 options for this parlay.
Sounds good. I like the chemistry as well between Otton and Baker Mayfield. So let's recap and get our votes in. And let's go. Let's show them.
Oh,
Okay,
boy.
this is for sure.
We're getting
There we go.
insane
clean
now.
Dallas Goedert.
sweep. Dallas Goedert, all reliable. Why not?
This parlay just got fun.
Very fun. Sean Kerner.
Well, speaking of old reliable, this is an official play for me. I love this one. Let's go with Julio Jones over 17.5 receiving yards. With A.J. Brown out, there's going to be more routes, targets to go around. And Julio's been operating as the number 3 wide receiver in this offense, so he's going to be elevated to the number 2 wide receiver. Gilles already mentioned, even Devontae Smith is banged up, so he might have to be the number 1 option tonight if, Smith isn't 100%. And he has been sneaky good lately. The past 4 games, he's seen a target on 21% of his routes run. So again, with A.J. Brown out, that might actually go up. And I realize he might be a little bit washed at this point in his career, but let's face it, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. And we're getting him at 17.5 yards. Let's not overthink this. Let's go with the over here.
Yeah.
I have another option, another reason. A.J. Brown is out, so there's going to be more targets to go around. Kenny Gainwell over 10.5 receiving yards is another option. He's another player. I think he's going to benefit from A.J. Brown being out, where he's typically in on passing downs and in the 2-minute offense, but they might want to mix him in more on early downs just to have another pass-catching weapon out there. So he might see a bump in playing time, and he might see a bump in targets because Jalen Hurts is dealing with, an injured hand. So Hurts might be less comfortable throwing it downfield. He might actually prefer checking it down more than usual. So that could lead to even more targets for a guy like Kenny Gainwell. So I also like Kenny Gainwell over 10.5 receiving yards.
All right. You guys got all that?
I got it.
Sure do you.
Let's get to voting. All right. Time to vote. Let's show it. Oh, yeah. All 3 for Julio. Classic. Can't go wrong with a classic. All right.
Julio.
That completes our same game parlay for the second game on tonight's slate. Let's recap. Our Action Island crew likes Trey Palmer, anytime touchdown, Dallas Goedert, anytime touchdown, and Julio Jones, over 17.5 receiving yards. And the odds on this would be around plus 3,190.
Wow.
There we go.
Here we go.
That is
Let's go.
that is quite a number. And as I said before, if there was a pick given out within all those options that you prefer to one we voted for, feel free to use it in your own version of the parlay. Now, are you guys ready for a little bonus bet from yours?
Absolutely.
Truly? All right.
What do we got?
I decided I'm going to ride with the Bucs plus 3. I know
home
both
dog.
of these teams are in a bit of a funk, but I like the way that the vibes are trending up for the Bucs and trending down for the Eagles. I just think there's a coaching disconnect on both offense and defense for the Eagles injuries on both sides, but missing A.J. Brown, I mean, that hurts. I think Mike Evans and co. can take advantage of the poor Eagles defense that you pointed out, second worst passing D in the league. Now, would either of you guys, show of hands, be on board with me?
Look,
Fire the cannons.
I can't go against clean sweep Maria from last week.
No, don't go there.
She's on fire. Just putting that.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. Now this is definitely not going to hit, but that's okay. Thank you guys for the support. And make sure to comment below or tag Action Network HQ with your parlay for tonight's games. Get some live betting advice at halftime as well by watching Bet What Happens Live on our YouTube channel and in the Action app. That's going to do it, guys. So for Nick Giffen, Gilles Gallant, and Sean Kerner, I'm Maria Marino. Thanks so much for joining us on Action Island, presented by FanDuel.